Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
The Bold and the Beautiful recap for Thursday, November 6th, reveals that Steffy Forrester Finnegan slammed Sheila sharp before taking a surprising Brooke Logan Forrester and Ridge Forrester station. In Taylor Hayes' office, Deacon Sharp showed up and claimed he wanted to keep being her case. Since Taylor had been such a lifeline for Deacon, he'd nothing but praise for her. Deacon felt he could help Taylor too and made a big speech about her demanding to put Ridge behind her. As Deacon held Taylor's hand, he spoke about no bone being more meritorious of respect and love than her. At Il Giardino on Thursday's B&B occasion, Steffy brazened Sheila about her part in keeping Luna Nozawa's survival a secret. Sheila refocused out that Luna was locked up for good, but Steffy assumed Sheila hadn't faced any consequences for her own conduct. Still, Sheila dissented since she nearly lost Cleric over her secrets until Taylor induced him to come back to her. Sheila credited Taylor with saving her marriage and assured Steffy that she'd be ever in her mama's debt. At Forrester Creations, Steffy met up with Ridge and Brooke. Although Steffy took a couple dabs about Ridge's marriage to Brooke, she knew he still watched about Taylor and always would. Although Steffy wasn't pleased over Ridge breaking his pledges to Taylor, she conceded that it happened because he nearly lost his Logan. Brooke's near-drowning fire had a profound impact on Ridge, so Steffy understood what pulled him back in her direction. When Brooke brought up the idea of Taylor chancing another Joe, Steffy assumed Brooke would like that. The comment inferred that Steffy allowed. Brooke wanted to keep Taylor out of the way, but Brooke sounded genuine about wanting Taylor to be happy. Steffy was induced that Taylor would indeed find happiness with someone differently and stayed positive about her mama's future. Of course, Steffy doesn't realize that a spark has formally developed between Deacon and Taylor. It'll be intriguing to see how that spark develops from then and how everyone will reply when the news inescapably leaks. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say Taylor and Deacon have further temptation ahead of them, so stay tuned for all the drama that'll bring. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers allude that Hope Logan and Steffy Forrester may be doomed to be adversaries, so their rearmost love fest may serve as the calm before the storm. Steffy and Hope could be fated for another round of their contest, so let's bandy this tricky situation. In the November 5th occasion, Steffy expressed her happiness over Hope for the Future's relaunch and Hope's engagement to Liam Spencer. There was a lot of talk about how far Hope and Steffy had come on their path to fellowship. As far as Steffy's concerned, there's no need for them to be adversaries presently. Hope agrees about keeping the conflict behind them, so now they're just one big family and really feeling the love. Still, we've to admit that Hope and Steffy have had analogous moments like this in the history. There have clearly been other times when Steffy and Hope tried to concentrate on peace before failing miserably in the end. The verity is that Hope and Steffy's feud has been a huge part of the show for numerous times. It's tough to believe B&B's just going to let that go fully when it's such an easy path to drama. Of course, that doesn't mean Steffy and Hope inescapably have to fight over Liam. The love triangle is hopefully over, but Hope and Steffy have historically set up plenitude of other reasons to disaccord. At this point, it's presumably just a matter of how long Steffy and Hope can really avoid ripping into each other over some issue. This surely feels like a question of when Hope and Steffy will face off again, not if. It's forfeiture for Steffy and Hope to hold hands like they're going to be BFFs now, but numerous B&B suckers know better than to believe it'll last ever. That's just not how Hope and Steffy roll, so stay tuned for updates on any disquieting news that might ruin their new friend status. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers suggest Steffy and Hope had better enjoy getting along while they still can. In the opulent, high-stakes world of Los Angeles fashion and finance, where fortunes are made and hearts are routinely broken, the characters of the Bold and the Beautiful find themselves in a moment of profound transition. The events of Thursday, November 6th, served as a powerful catalyst, marking not just the progression of plot lines, but a significant shift in the very alliances that have defined the show for decades. This was a day where past sins were confronted, unexpected advocates emerged, and the fragile seeds of future conflicts were sown, all under the watchful eyes of a legacy built on passion, rivalry, and the endless pursuit of redemption. The episode was masterfully structured around two central, contrasting themes: the public confrontation of a notorious villain and the private, tender cultivation of a most unlikely connection. Meanwhile, hovering over the narrative like a specter was the precarious peace between two women whose history of animosity is as legendary as the Forrester name itself. Steffy's stand, a daughter's fury and a surprising defense. The most electrically charged scene of the day unfolded not in a boardroom, but amidst the quiet ambience of Il Giardino, where Steffy Forrester Finnegan finally cornered the woman she views as the source of so much chaos in her family's life, Sheila Sharp. This was not a mere exchange of pleasantries or veiled insults, it was a direct and furious assault. Steffy, with the ferocity of a lioness protecting her pride, slammed Sheila for her central role in the conspiracy to keep Luna Nozawa's survival a secret. Steffy's anger was multifaceted. On the surface, she was righteously indignant about the deception itself. But digging deeper, her fury was rooted in a fundamental sense of injustice. From Steffy's perspective, Sheila, a woman with a history of violence and manipulation that could fill a true crime anthology, had once again evaded any meaningful consequences. While Luna was locked up for good, as Sheila so coldly pointed out, Sheila herself remained free, weaving her way back into the lives of those around her. Sheila's defense was as calculated as it was revealing. She did not deny her actions, but rather reframed them, presenting herself as a figure who had, in fact, suffered greatly. Her near loss of Deacon Sharp was, in her mind, a consequence severe enough to balance the scales. But the most startling part of her retort was the credit she gave to an unexpected savior, Dr. Taylor Hayes. Sheila revealed that it was Taylor's intervention, her convincing words to Deacon, that ultimately salvaged their marriage. In a moment that must have tasted like acid on her tongue, Sheila assured Steffy that she would be forever in her mom's debt. For Steffy, hearing her saintly mother's name being used as a shield by the devil herself was undoubtedly a nauseating experience. This confrontation set the stage for an even more significant development later at Forrester Creations. In a meeting with Ridge and Brooke, Steffy's stance evolved from one of pure fury to one of surprising, albeit grudging, understanding. She couldn't resist taking a few pointed jabs at Ridge's insta-marriage to Brooke, a clear reference to the whirlwind and impulsive nature of their reunion. A lesser character might have remained entrenched in bitterness, but Steffy demonstrated her maturity. She acknowledged a painful truth: Ridge would always care for Taylor. His love for her mother was a permanent, indelible part of his heart. More importantly, Steffy articulated the core reason for Ridge's return to Brooke with a clarity that perhaps even Ridge himself struggles with. She understood that Brooke's near-drowning ordeal was a cataclysmic event for her father. The terror of nearly losing his Logan, a term laden with decades of history, passion, and conflict, shook him to his foundation. In that moment of potential tragedy, the noise of their complicated past faded away, and only the primal need to hold on to her remained. Steffy, despite her loyalty to Taylor, could not fault her father for being propelled by such a profound, life-altering scare. The conversation then turned to Taylor's future. When Brooke tentatively floated the idea of Taylor finding happiness with another man, Steffy initially perceived it as a strategic move, a way for Brooke to permanently clear the field of her greatest romantic rival. It was a telling assumption, highlighting how deeply the patterns of manipulation and competition are ingrained in their shared history. However, Brooke's sincerity seemed to cut through Steffy's skepticism. Seeing what appeared to be genuine well-wishing from Brooke, Steffy's demeanor softened. She expressed a confident, hopeful belief that her mother was indeed destined to find a profound and lasting happiness with someone new. This optimism, of course, was tragically ironic, given the spark Steffy was entirely unaware of, a spark that was, at that very moment, being carefully nurtured in her mother's office. An unlikely sanctuary, Deacon and Taylor's budding connection. While Steffy was defending her mother's honor and future, that very future was being shaped in a most unexpected way. The scene in Taylor Hayes's office was a study in quiet intimacy and mutual salvation. Deacon Sharp's arrival was not that of a patient in crisis, but of a man seeking continuity. He insisted on continuing his sessions, praising Taylor as a lifeline. This was significant, for a man like Deacon, who has lived much of his life on the fringes, trusting someone so fully is a radical act. But the dynamic in the room was far from the traditional therapist-patient relationship. Deacon, ever the perceptive street-smart philosopher, flipped the script. He launched into a heartfelt speech, insisting that Taylor needed to put Ridge behind her. This was not mere advice, it was a plea born from shared experience. Deacon sees in Taylor a reflection of his own struggles, the struggle for acceptance, for respectability, and for a love that is not conditional or tumultuous. His gesture of holding her hand was a pivotal moment. It transcended the clinical boundaries of their professional relationship and entered the realm of a genuine, human connection. When he looked into her eyes and told her that no one was more deserving of respect and love, he was speaking to the core of Taylor's pain. For years, she has been the good one, the stable psychiatrist, the forgiving wife, yet she has consistently lost out to the dramatic, chaotic passion that defines Brooke and Ridge. Deacon's words were a balm to a soul that has felt perpetually second best. He wasn't just seeing Dr. Taylor Hayes, he was seeing the woman beneath the title, and he was affirming her worth in a way she hasn't experienced in a long time. This connection is fraught with delicious irony and potential drama. Sheila, the woman Steffy just railed against, credits Taylor with saving her marriage to Deacon. Yet, here is Deacon, forming a deep, emotional bond with Taylor that seems poised to threaten that very marriage. The spoilers pointing to more temptation ahead for this pair are a promise of explosive consequences. How will Sheila, the ultimate vengeful force, react when she discovers that the woman she owes a debt to is the same woman who might steal her husband? The fallout would be nothing short of apocalyptic. The calm before the storm, Hope and Steffy precarious peace. Beyond the immediate drama of Steffy versus Sheila and the burgeoning bond between Taylor and Deacon, the episode carefully wove in a subplot that longtime viewers know is a ticking time bomb, the friendship between Hope Logan and Steffy Forrester. Their interactions in the November 5th episode were a masterclass in dramatic irony. There was talk of the relaunch of Hope for the Future, congratulations on Hope's engagement to Liam Spencer, and heartfelt declarations about how far they've come. They painted a picture of a unified front, a blended family that had finally moved beyond the petty rivalries of the past. Steffy's pronouncement that there's no need for them to be enemies anymore was delivered with a conviction that felt, to the hopeful, genuine. However, history is the ghost at this particular feast. Hope and Steffy have traversed this path before. They have had moments of détente, of hand-holding and mutual understanding, only to have it all spectacularly implode. Their feud is not merely a plot point, it is a foundational element of The Bold and the Beautiful, a dynamic that has driven storylines for over a decade. The idea that the show would simply retire such a potent and reliable source of conflict is difficult to believe. This is not necessarily to say that they will once again clash over Liam. The love triangle that defined them for so long may indeed be in its final act. But Hope and Steffy are two powerful, passionate women with fundamentally different worldviews and a deep-seated personal history. They are destined to clash because their cores are aligned in opposition. Steffy is bold, impulsive, and fierce. Hope is often more reserved, idealistic, and measured. These differences have historically provided ample fuel for conflict beyond a shared love interest. Perhaps the rift will form over their business interests. Perhaps it will be about their differing approaches to parenting. Or, most tantalizingly, perhaps it will be about the burgeoning relationship between Taylor and Deacon. Steffy, protective of her mother and disgusted by anything related to Sheila, would be horrified by a Taylor-Deacon union. Hope, who has worked to build a fragile but real relationship with her father, Deacon, might find herself in the unexpected position of defending it. This would create a fascinating new axis of conflict, pitting the two women against each other not over a man they both love, but over the complex loyalties they hold to their respective parents. The current love fest, as it were, feels very much like the calm before the storm. It is a necessary period of stability that makes the inevitable explosion all the more impactful. The question is not if Hope and Steffy will face off again, but when and over what. Their peaceful coexistence is a beautiful, fragile illusion, and in the world of soaps, illusions are made to be shattered. Conclusion: a paradigm shift in Los Angeles. The events of November 6th on The Bold and the Beautiful represented a significant paradigm shift. Steffy Forrester, long the standard-bearer for her mother's cause, demonstrated a newfound and pragmatic understanding of her father's heart, even making a surprising peace with Brooke. This is a monumental character development, signaling a Steffy who is evolving beyond the binary of Team Taylor versus Team Brooke. Simultaneously, the connection between Taylor and Deacon is perhaps the most exciting and unpredictable new storyline in years. It is a pairing born not of lust or strategy, but of a shared sense of being outsiders in the glittering Forrester universe, of understanding profound loss, and of offering each other the simple, powerful gift of being seen. Their journey promises to upend existing alliances and create shocking new ones. And underpinning it all is the tense, unspoken truth that the celebrated truce between Hope and Steffy is built on the shakiest of ground. As one feud, Steffy versus Sheila, burns white-hot and a potential new alliance, Taylor and Deacon, flickers to life, the oldest rivalry of this generation simmers just below the surface, waiting for the right spark to ignite it once more. In Los Angeles, the baptism of new beginnings is always accompanied by the whispered threats of old wars, ensuring that the drama remains, as ever, both bold and beautiful.